About we have been talking about migration. We've talked about different religions. We've talked about geography, physical geography, regular geography. Now we talked about the continents. Now we need to kind of focus on governments. But we talked about religions are in certain places. Now we need to talk about the type of governments that's in these type of places. So, and this is definitely important with the election being tomorrow. We need to know, what kind of government do we have here? What kind of government is in other places? So, again, with tomorrow being election, this is definitely important aspect we need to know about governments. People always ask, like, why do we need governments? Humans need help of others to survive. They therefore live in community. The organization that people set up to protect their community is called government. Government protects lives, liberties, and properties of members. This is something that we definitely need to know. And also, the government has the power and authority to use force. The organization that people set up to protect their community is called governments. Governments protect lives, liberties, properties of members of the community. What is an organization inside the government that's set up to protect us as Americans? Government. What's an organization inside the government that works inside the government that is used to protect us in our communities? It's two real big groups that protect us from terrorism.
The Army?
The Army, not necessarily the Army, but it's like these are two organizations inside the government that protect us from harmful things here in America and abroad. 3 letters. FBI, CIA. Those are 2 organizations that is kind of formed inside the government that help protect us. They protect the lives, they protect the liberties, they protect the property of members of the community. I was mentioning to first period class about they was talking about FBI wouldn't do this, wouldn't do that, and I was just saying if you was to threaten our president through some text messages or letters or posting something, you would get a visit from the FBI. Basically. Government protects lives, liberties, and properties of members of the community. So basically, what this is saying about property of the members of the community is that I know we've all seen the news lately with the rioting and the looting, and you see people stealing and destroying property. What that says, and then what this says is that the government has the right to protect lives, liberties, and properties of members of the community. So the president or the governor of that state can send in troops, armies to protect the community and protect property. Okay? So I don't know if you guys ever watch TV and notice that, wow, the army is in a certain place while they're rioting. The governor has the right to send in troops to protect property. All right. Next, power. The authority to use force. So if you're watching your TV and you see someone carrying a big screen TV down the street, they're rioting, the police, the government has the power to use authority to stop them from bringing harm or danger to the community or destroying property. Okay? We got it? Go one more. Go one more. Now, the first form of different types of governments that we're going to talk about is, I have trouble saying this word.
Toleration. Total literation.
I can't say the word. Total system. I'm just going to say that right now. Total system. So, totalitarian system. Totalitarian system. That's what it is. I'm going to conquer that. So, totalitarian system. That's just one of the types of governments that we're going to talk about today. Talk about this week. The others is going to be a democracy, a dictatorship, a monarch, a republic, a theocracy. But right now we're going to talk about the totalitarian system. In the totalitarian system, government controls everything. We got to really wrap our head around this type of deal right here. Government controls everything. All aspects of a person's life controlled by the government. Government controls the education, the military, the police, the television, the radio, the newspaper. The totalitarian governments have the right to ban religion, books, and criticism of the government. And people who oppose the government are arrested and killed.
Huh?
Yeah. In a totalitarian system right here, people who oppose the government are arrested and killed.
It says or killed.
Arrested or killed, yeah. They're arrested or killed. So basically, if you're in a place that has a totalitarian system, if you speak out against the government or you speak out against their leader, you will be arrested or killed.
Why killed?
Yeah. I mean, just for saying something.
That's just, you gotta say, thank God we stay in America. We stay up under democracy.
But where most of those at?
I'll give you just a second. We just to talk about it right here because it's gonna fall. This is the totalitarian system, but the person that runs the totalitarian system is a dictator.
Like Hitler.
So why
Like Hitler.
we what's the name? Well,
We what?
no.
So would you want to stay somewhere where if you and your friends are somewhere just talking, and you talking bad about the government, and all of a sudden you get hauled off somewhere and hurt? You know, thank God. Just think about guys, if this was like that for the United States, if somebody was talking negative about President Trump, and we was in a totalitarian system, then
That's a lot of people doing that.
true, but that just goes to show you that just reminds you of how great our country is, because we stay in a great country where
America, you got your own opinion.
you got your own opinions, and you have the right to your own opinions, and you can disagree with this person, or you can agree with this person, with not feeling any type of threat of being harmed because you feel different. So that's just a great thing about being in our country and being in a democracy right here. Also, think about, being in a totalitarian government, having the right to ban all religion, books, or criticism of the government. So when you somewhere in a library, they can go in there and take every book off the shelf that has, maybe don't worship their type of religion. So, we just come from the religion, we came from the talking about religion the last few weeks. So you just think about if you somewhere and the totalitarian government takes out all the books on Christianity, takes out all the books on Islam, and just has their books only for their religion. That wouldn't be good.
Reading the same book every day.
Yep. Or they take out all the books that criticize. Then you look up here too, government controls the education. So how would you feel like if the government, only told us what we need to learn, what we need to study, stuff like that? You control, huh?
So you wouldn't be learning that.
That's right. We wouldn't learn a different perspective. We wouldn't learn a different view. We wouldn't know what goes on in other parts of the world because they would control the education. They would also control the military, the police. And then also if you turn on your TV and you only watch what they want you to watch. You turn on your radio, you only listen to what they want you to listen to.
Yeah,
You turn on your newspaper and just get another pencil out right there should be one right there. And then, or you got the newspaper and you only read what they wanted you to read. Kind of make you feel grateful that we in this country, right? That you can do some different things. Who's next? An example of like you just said, an example of a totalitarian system is the system, but it's ran by a dictator. Dictatorship. Dictatorship is a single person has control, has complete power over things, over others. A dictator takes power by force or is placed in position of power. Dictators are free to do as they please. People have few rights, few or no rights. An example of this is in North Korea. North Korea with Kim Jong-un. He is a dictator. He's a single person that has control over all powers, over everything. A dictator takes power by force or is placed in position of power. Dictators are free to do as they please.
Well, how did Hitler take over? I never knew how he took over.
How Hitler took over, same thing when it talks about right here. Dictators takes by force, either by force or placed in position by power. So whoever's in power at that time in Germany, they the one that placed Hitler in power. We'll get more into detail of different type of fascists and communists and things of that nature, but whoever was in charge at that time in Germany, they put Hitler in charge. Right here. A dictator takes power by force or is placed in position of power.
That was the most messed up thing they could have done.
Well, I agree. You know, like I said, when I used to teach college, one of the main sections that we talked about was leadership. And one of the main things I always discussed was, Hitler was a bad, immoral person, but he was a great leader. He was a great leader. And people followed him. He was a great leader. Under a dictatorship, people have few or no rights. So you don't have any rights, or few rights under a dictatorship.
Cause see, you can have your own store and they'll come in there and just take anything.
Yeah, if they want to, and definitely in North Korea.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Basically, they can come in here and just do what they want. A single person has complete power over others. Kim Jong-un in North Korea has power over the entire country. Great thing again about this country here is that we may disagree with the president, may not like his stance or tactics on things, but he doesn't have power over everybody, and that's a good thing. We're able to make up our own minds and have our own opinions. Basically, like right here, you talked about Kim Jong-un can come here and do what he want to do. Look right here, dictators are free to do as they please. So, he can do as he please. Nobody there to stop him. And the people that's in North Korea, they have few or no rights.
I couldn't stay there.
I agree. I couldn't either.
My house is running. Black houses, I have bad houses.
Well, the cold weather kind of brought on a lot of stuff. Brought on a lot of allergies. You got that right there? You need a few minutes?
Are we gonna take a test? Soon?
Huh?
I said soon.
I'll be soon enough. But speaking of tests, why he just mentioned that right there, guys, do not forget that if you need to retake the test, please make plans, make arrangements to retake the Unit 4 test, please. And also, if you did not take the benchmark test, you got to make plans to take the benchmark test.
You said come out to school on Wednesday.
You come out
take
to school.
the test uniform.
You come out to school on Wednesday, or come out to school on Wednesday, or you can make plans maybe tomorrow to come out to school. Either way, it won't take long, but we definitely need to reassess and take the test. So do we understand that dictatorship is not a form of government? It's just kind of it's a form of government, but an example of a system of government will be the totalitarian system, and then dictatorship falls under that. We kind of understand what that is right there. This week, one of our assignments that we'll do this week will be a kind of like we did the religion foldable.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that religion foldable? We would do a government foldable. We talk about the different types of governments, and we'll talk about where they located at and everything else. You got it?
Yeah.
All right, next, we're talking about a monarch. The monarch, ruler inherits the power. When a ruler dies, power passes on to the son/the daughter or a close member. Basically, the king and the queen. So we noticed this kind of with Prince Harry, King George, people that's in Britain. This is the kind of thing that they got set up. You know.
So England and British,
They
all
have
monarchies.
kings. Yeah, exactly. They have kings and queens. Now, one thing interesting about a king and queen is that we'll get into it a little bit more about is how can you become a king and a queen?
But you don't have to be in like you have to have royal blood. Like
You gotta have royal blood. You cannot you can't appoint someone that's not in the family. An outsider couldn't be a king.
Yeah, because like if say if the daughter was queen and she needed a king and she couldn't marry him, and he couldn't be the king, right? Or he could.
If
he tried to marry her just to become like king.
you cannot become king and queen by marriage. So if you married a young lady, she might wear the title queen, but she wouldn't be a queen because marriage. Same thing if a queen married a gentleman, he could be the king in title, but he wouldn't be the king because it's not. You have to be, the bloodline has to come down, and it's inherited. You can't appoint someone that's like outside. It has to be inherited. Got it? All right. Next. This is important too. Two types of monarch. We just went over the monarch, but it's two types of monarch that is very important. The first type of monarch is a rule by divine right, absolute, and the second is constitutional monarch. Basically, what this rule by divine right means is that a king or a queen claims all the power. Power was a divine right. I am a ruler because God wants me to be a ruler. Ordinary people have no rights unless a monarch allows. Example of that would be England, and in the modern day would be Saudi Arabia. So Saudi Arabia has kings and queens. Same thing with England. Constitutional monarch, the shared power between the king and the queen and the legislator. An example of that would be the United Kingdom. This is important that we need to know right here when it says rule by divine right. When it says divine right, that means God is appointing someone a ruler. That's what that means. Basically, it's just saying that God made you a ruler. You wasn't voted in, you was appointed by God. That's what that means. In the constitutional monarch, shared power was between king and queen. But it's very important that you know that rule by divine right, power was divine right. I am a ruler because God wants me to be.
Who's the ruler of the United Kingdom?
I don't know. I have to look that up. But it's constitutional monarch. Shared power between the king and the queen, legislature, in the United Kingdom. Go next. All right. So we just talked about divine. We talked about divine rule. Okay. So ask this question right here. Critical thinking. For kings are not only God's lieutenants upon earth and sit upon God's throne, but even by God Himself are called gods. Do you think this speaker is in favor of a divine right monarch? He is. This person is, because basically what they're saying is is that for kings are not only God's lieutenants upon earth and sit upon God's throne, but even by God himself are called God. So basically what he's saying is, in this critical thinking right here, is saying that God has appointed the king or the queen to sit on the throne. Simple as that.
Just to sit there.
Not really. I mean, but to be a king or a queen. You know, to be a king or a queen. So let's just say that the king has 2 sons. So who's the next in line to be the king? The oldest. So the oldest.
What about the queen? The oldest sister?
And if they had a daughter,
What?
if they had a daughter,
That daughter do what?
she'd be queen. Right?
Mm-hmm. So you saying I follow. Follow. So the king, he has 2 sons. Let's say he has 2 sons and a daughter. Who's in line to be the king?
Oh, it's always the daughter then. She'd be the queen. She'd be queen first. If she the oldest.
Even if she the oldest.
Why?
Up until 2013, a young lady could not hold any type of position like that. She couldn't be the queen. It was only for the males. Up until 2013, they did not recognize females as to could inherit the crown. They couldn't
So now
recognize.
they do it.
So now 2013.
Because like when I play cards, my mom be like, "Oh yeah, the queen's always the strongest one, right?" That's what she say.
What kind of card you play?
We play like goldfish and stuff like that.
Oh no. Oh no. But answer your question here. So let's just say the king has 2 sons, and it goes to the elder, right? The elder son. What happens if that elder son passes away?
It goes to the youngest.
Who's the next is the king?
The one right behind him.
If he have a son, his son.
Oh.
If he has a son, his son will be in line.
Y'all never watch
So
Lion King?
So
You said, yeah, you ain't never watched the line.
so the brother is just kind of out. All right. So now you see the importance of why we watch the shows on TV when they talk about Prince Harry, Prince William, and all that is very important. Another key thing to this is when Prince Harry, if something was to happen to the kings and his son, it would go to Prince Harry. But what did Prince Harry do to kind of upset the order of how things go? What did Prince Harry do?
He got married.
He did what?
He got married.
He got married. But not only did he get married, who did he marry?
An actress?
Married, huh?
An actress?
He married an actress, but who did he marry? What is the actress?
Not a royal blood.
Not only that, well, what is she?
A she.
She's a she. But what is she?
A person.
She's a person.
A woman.
She's a woman. Now hold up. We're talking about all this royal blood. So Harry gets married, and then he marries
Someone that's outside.
a what?
An outside.
Outside? You said, what'd you say?
Somebody that's not like, I said outside.
A what?
Not royal
I
blood.
said somebody that's outside of man's blood.
Outside of royal blood, but what is she? But what is she?
A person, a regular person.
She's a person, but what is she?
A peasant.
She's an actor.
We got it, she's an actor.
Well, we all know.
She's a peasant.
Was she an alien or something?
I don't know.
She's non-royal.
She's what?
She's non-royal.
She's non-royal, she's non-British,
She's American.
she's American.
Oh.
That's what kind of upset things, because now the blood of British is being diluted because now he's married. a
Oh, so
woman.
all of them, when they married, they was always British.
Right. So what he do? He married
And American.
an American. So things. Well, now the bloodline is going to be kind of right. And now, hold up. To really throw a wrench in this here. Have you seen her?
Yes.
You seen her?
Yes.
What is her mom?
What's the hope?
What is her mom?
American too.
a mother American, but what is she? She's African American.
Who?
She's African American. Therefore, when William, the baby that they have, not only will be American, be British, will be African American.
It'll be Nick.
It'll be a lot. So now it messes up
Everything.
It messes up a lot because now look at all the bloodline. You're trying to trace the bloodline back. So now down the line, let's just say something happens and a lot of people pass away. Their heir that has 4 or 5 have a mixture, they can become king.
Yeah.
Now, thanks, sir. Because of that, now think about this here. So they're all British, but 30, 40 years from now, something can shake out to where an American can hold the right to can be a king over here.
But the queen is still, what's her name?
Queen Elizabeth.
Yeah, Queen Elizabeth.
Mhm.
She's still the queen right now.
So you kind of see why they was kind of a little, I won't say upset with him, but you can see why they kind of had, they threw a little shade.
They really did stop talking to him for a while because he was
Exactly.
How many times he been in America?
Exactly.
Who?
Exactly. Talking about Harry,
I
the
don't
brother.
Mm.
Now the older brother, he married Kate. Kate was full blood, right there. But Harry decided to.
I don't know who
Who Harry?
Harry said I'm on a different taste.
Harry went to the.
He
No.
said different things.
Harry went over.
I don't know who
You got it? So let's watch this video right quick. No, you good. Let's watch this video right quick, guys, and this is gonna better explain. Hold on a second. Push play just a second. This is gonna better explain who can be king, who can be queen. Why can't she be a queen? When did they allow queens to become queens? Who can become a king? All that type of stuff like that, you know. Push play on it.
Upon your head, mostly because you had the biggest army. When you died, your eldest son kept control over that army, and so the crown relocated to his head. Though, of course, someone with a bigger army could change the political landscape quite abruptly. As time marched on, and the world grew less violent, eventually in 1701, Parliament established a set of rules to transfer the crown from one head to another, hopefully with less turmoil than before. So here's how the 1701 rules work. First, don't be Catholic. The British monarch is also the head of the Church of England, to which the monarch must convert if not already a member. Except that if you're Catholic, no crown for you. The history of the royal family and how this rule came to be is a story for another time, but suffice it to say that bigger army diplomacy was involved. And by the way, no, you can't cleverly get around this rule by converting from Catholicism to something else and then to Church of
So that's
England.
one rule
In the
right
eyes
there.
of the crown,
If you're a Catholic,
Catholicism
you couldn't be
transitive. Second, don't be a bastard. Sometimes it's good to be the king, but it's never good to be the
Oh, is that
illegitimate
for
children
me?
of the king who are out of line for the crown from
Did he just cuss?
He used the B word. That's what they call a child that is born out of wedlock. Born out of wedlock. So if a child was born out of wedlock, they don't care how that shapes up. That young man cannot be king because they're born out of wedlock. Does that make sense too?
A little bit.
So it makes so basically, if two people and they're not married, you're a king and you didn't marry a young lady, but you had a baby by this young lady. Her son could not be the king
Oh,
because you didn't make.
it's just the same way.
You didn't make it a
Yeah, because you didn't marry. So the son that you just had with her is not eligible for.
That happens a lot in America.
Hey, but what happens if y'all have a kid and then y'all get married?
Don't work like
Still don't work like that. Still, now that's one thing about them. They have the traditional rules. Go ahead and push it play. So there's two things you can't do. You can't be Catholic and you can't have a kid out of wedlock. You better put a ring on
their conception. If you're related to the monarch but are either a Catholic or a bastard or both, the crown has the delightful term naturally dead to refer to you and your lack of right to succession. Third, spouses don't count. While people often think of kings and queens as a pair, that's not the way it works here. Spouses of monarchs are known as royal consorts. They may be called prince or queen, but as far as the crown is concerned, they're not in line for the throne. They're just the matching 23 chromosomes needed for the creation of the real heir. Fourth and finally, male primogenitor.
So basically what he just said was, if two people are married, it doesn't matter. If you're a king and you marry somebody else, she might carry the title as queen, but she does not have any right to anything. So when Harry married the young lady from America, she may carry the title of queen when she's over there, but she doesn't have any right to anything. She can't
She's
go.
just there to be there.
She can't go over there and run it.
Just now.
So, matter of fact, they don't even stay over there no more. They stay in Canada.
Uh-huh.
So that's why it was a big uproar with him when he decided to marry outside like that, and he married an American.
Primogenitor, whatever. This
This is
the
very
algorithm
important right
of
here.
inheritance. When the monarch dies or abdicates, but usually dies, the crown goes to the eldest son who isn't naturally dead. If there happens to be an elder daughter, tough luck to her. Baby brother gets the crown. It's simple enough, but there are non-obvious cases. Take a king with two sons. If the eldest dies before the king does, obviously the crown goes to the youngest, now oldest, brother. But what if the eldest son gave the king a grandson before death? Where does the crown go then? Well, the crown basically pretends that everyone, except the naturally dead, is alive. So upon the death of the king, the crown goes to his eldest son, who is now sort of the king, who just really...
So this is Prince Charles, King, Prince Harry, William, Harry. So if something was to happen to William, it would not go to Harry. It would go down to the
What if
Harry
there
was
was no
middle
child?
It's just two boys.
What if there was no child?
If with no child, you keep going until you find a male. You'll keep tracing
So
the
it doesn't,
bloodline.
like,
You keep tracing the bloodline until you find a male. But now, since 2013, now if this happened right here, they would look for the oldest daughter. Now she can be a queen. But before 2013, it was only males. It was only males.
Imagine.
So now in 2013,
Yeah.
now daughters can have the title. Ain't that something?
Yeah, Mike.
In 2013, this far that it was like that. It's crazy.
So women didn't have
Only
happens
men.
to be dead. So the rule kicks in again, and the crown goes to his son, not, as seems obvious now, his brother. But if this 1701 rule means that eldest sons get the crown, how did queens ever come to be? Basically, daughters were the last choice of the crown, which is why there have been so few. To get the crown, a daughter had to either be the only child of a monarch or the eldest child without competing brothers. So pregnant mothers must have made any daughters with queenly aspirations quite nervous. Now sometimes the branch of a family tree dies out, be it from war or plague or whatever, so the crown's contingency plan, if it's at a dead end, is to back up one level and then apply the rules forward again, looking for a living head to sit upon. If no luck, back up again and repeat until a living heir is found. And there will always be an heir. The first king of England was over 1,000 years ago, and the mathematics of human reproduction, backed up by DNA evidence, reveals that just about every European alive is distantly related to him, so the crown will eventually...
That's something that needs to be talked about too. Basically, they said that everyone is distantly kin to him. So when you ask what happens if this happens, what happens if there are no males, they'll go to check the genealogy. Somebody somewhere there, it has blood relations to them, and they would try to find out who that person is. And it could, right now, it could be a female. Same thing, like I said, now young ladies can hold the office. If you have a bunch of daughters, then it'll be to the oldest daughter. Or if it's just one daughter, she would get it.
find a way. So, from the first king through the new millennium, the various rules went along, making monarchs, though with a gender-biased result that nobody seemed too bothered about until suddenly, in 2013, for no particular reason at all, everyone decided that the rules needed to be updated right now. So Parliament and the monarchy got together and made some changes, most notably striking the unveil part of rule number 4. From 2013 on, the crown views all royal sons and daughters with equal favor. The only thing that matters is the order of their birth. So prior to 2013, the boy in a set of fraternal twins in development could sit back and relax, secure that the crown would be his no matter what happened on delivery day. But in the post-2013 gender equal world, it's now a race for the door to win the crown.
So, you kinda understood that? How you
But at the
come-
end, he was like, they were basically saying, even if he didn't come out first, he still can get the crown, right?
Before 2013, it didn't matter. If they had kids and it was one boy and 6 girls, it didn't matter. It went to the boy.
They gonna jump him.
Girl,
It's my crown. That's what gonna say.
You got a Band-Aid?
I do.
I got
A
hangnail.
bandage.
I do. So today we talked about
Monarchies and
dictatorship. Now, who was one of the major dictators?
Hitler.
Hitler. What genocide did Hitler promote?
Holocaust.
Who did he want to kill?
Jews.
Jewish.
How many Jews was killed?
Over 2 billion.
6 million. Over 6 million Jews was killed. All right. Who's another modern day dictator?
What's his name?
He got a weird haircut. Kim
Yeah.
Jong Un.
Chili bowl.
And he definitely got a weird haircut. And North Korea. So we talked about monarchs, kings and queens. Now we got to kind of better understand.
Elizabeth and Harry.
We got to kind of better understand it. We might look at that tomorrow a little bit more because now I got a better understanding about it. Like, what's going on? Why was they so upset? You know, the king, the queen, what position they hold, how they hold it. I didn't, really understand, who all inherited, but it's inherited who gets the king.
I know it's a lot of British bloodlines in that whole system.
Mm-hmm. So tomorrow, we talk about the totalitarian system where the government controls everything. All right?
Everything.
So tomorrow we're going to talk about a theocracy, we'll talk about democracy, and we'll talk about republic. Okay?
Judy Badoody.
All right. Thank you.
I'm Judy on my feet. Mess with me. So you can shut up.
Anita.
Nobody talking.
Hey, remember, one more thing, guys. Please remember to get with me on these retakes if you need a retake.
I see my dude. I need to cut
Get with me on these retakes for my athletes.
I'll go ahead and get that camera. You know, I gotta see.